Good morning, everybody. Olly Richards back with another. What am I doing? This is not a rule of language learning. That's from the last series. I'm answering your questions about language learning. That's what I'm doing here. And I've got a question from Nicola today. And a very common, this is a question that comes up all the time. Watching movies in your target language. Should you watch movies in your target language with subtitles in English, with subtitles in the target language, or without any subtitles at all? Great question. Okay, so what are you doing when you're watching movies? What skill are you practicing? Is it reading, listening, writing? What are you doing? Well, when you're watching a movie, you're practicing listening. That's what's going on, okay? So sure, you get visual clues as well, just like in real life, but what you're basically doing is practicing listening. So the minute that you add in any kind of subtitle in whatever language, you're now switching the skill from listening to reading. And you'll notice, if you pay attention to the way that your focus and concentration works, that if you're watching a movie with no subtitles, as soon as you turn on the subtitles, it doesn't matter how hard you try to ignore them, you're basically reading, right? And that means that what's going on with your eyes and reading those words is the kind of dominant thing that's going on at that point, right? That's the dominant activity of kind of switching to reading. So as a point of principle, like my starting point with movies is that, look, if you want to practice reading, then go and practice reading. It's much more convenient to study your target language with a piece of, I don't have anything here, like words on a page, on a piece of paper that you can go back and scan, forward and back. That's far more convenient. So as soon as you're adding subtitles to movies, the first question is, well, what do you actually try to achieve? And so the thing that you're trying to achieve, really, and what's behind you pressing that subtitles on button, is you just want to understand what's going on, right? That's what you want to do with them when you're turning on subtitles. You want to understand what's going on. So then the question is, right, so what should it be, in English or in the target language? Right, well, let's say that you have subtitles in English. What you're doing now is you're reading the words in English and you're not paying attention to the target language. So yes, you might pick up a word here or there. You might hear a word in the target language, see the English translation, and think, oh, I just learned a word. But on the whole, the vast majority of what you're doing is just reading in English. So it's cool from the perspective of it helps you to understand what's going on in the movie. So from the perspective of enjoying the movie as a piece of art, then fine, that's going to help you. But it's not going to help you much with your target language, because you're reading in English. That's what you're doing. So step back from there, you get to subtitles in the target language. Now this is obviously better, because what you're able to do then is you're able to, in many cases, see what you hear. So if someone's saying something, you can then read it on the screen at the same time in the subtitles. Now, as you know, with movie subtitles, that's often not the case. It's not a word-for-word translation, is it? Because they have to, condense it in order to make it fit on the screen and make it easier to read. So you're usually not getting that word-for-word translation, but it's still going to help you to pick out the odd word that you're hearing. So in that sense, it's good. But just remember that even in that situation, you're still then practicing reading most of all. Okay. At best, it's like a mishmash of different skills, and in the movie format is not very convenient for studying. It's difficult. It's inconvenient to kind of loop bits or to rewind. You don't have text that you can look back on. It's on the whole a very, very inconvenient format. So again, so you can put subtitles in the target language, and that will be beneficial if you don't understand anything that's going on in the movie, like with the audio alone. To that extent, yeah, fine, and it's better than having subtitles in English. But my view about this is we're not really talking about a very optimal learning experience. On the whole, I think if you're watching a movie and the idea is to train yourself to understand the language, then what you really want to be doing is just watching those movies without any subtitles at all. At least then you're getting the real experience. It's going to force you to focus. Sure, you're not going to understand much at first, but at least you're focusing and you're pushing yourself and challenging yourself. You're not working in this kind of dumbs down, bubble wrap, mollycoddling type situation, which is what happens with subtitles. So yeah, the obvious problem is that if you don't understand much of what's going on, is there a lot of point doing it? And I would generally say no, which is why I'm not a big fan of movies in general for language learning. If you want to improve your listening, I recommend you check out my Conversations program, which you can find on my website, because that is actually material that's specifically designed to improve your listening beyond the intermediate level. So movies, yeah, not a fan. What would be better is to actually find material that is at a level that you can start to understand, right? So if movies are too difficult, then find something which is at a level that's more akin to where you are, right? And then you're kind of into the territory of, where do I find that material? And it's tricky, which is why I'd spend so much time kind of writing books and things like that, because it's just difficult to find that material. But you can find learner podcasts, you can find my stuff, you can find maybe simple videos and things like that. But yeah, movies on the whole are not great. So if you're going to watch movies, by all means watch them for the enjoyment of it, and then have subtitles if it helps. But don't kid yourself that you are doing a very, very powerful, effective language learning activity in that sense. I think where movies can be useful, and I remember I did this with Cantonese when it was difficult to get any resources at all. I just watched like hundreds of hours of like Hong Kong dramas, like TV series, and just the kind of weight of the number of hours that I was watching was helpful, and my listening improved a lot. My pronunciation also improved a lot as a result. So any activity that you do to the extreme is going to be helpful, right? It kind of stands to reason. So yeah, that's my view on language, on learning languages with movies and subtitles. Knock yourself out.